afternoon, class. My name is Britny Mitchell.
Brian Busby.
Jazmine Blair.
And I'm Bryanna Barnett.
And we are the developers of Pro Preserve Anti-Deterioration 1.0. Today we're going to share with you all the problem that we're addressing, the solution to that problem. We're going to go into the industry that our product directly targets. We're going to discuss the business model, and we're going to conclude on why you should invest in us and partner with us and process these. So what does our product do for the world? What does our product do for the economy? Why should you all heed to buying our product or joining our actual team? Great question. Well, right now, the global world spends about $750 billion on food waste alone. And these expenses are incurred by restaurant owners, by farmers, and of course by individual consumers like you and I. Next, 33% of all food that is produced goes to waste. These wastes contribute to the 3.3 billion tons of emissions that is emitted into the atmosphere globally. Also, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States, 870 billion people starve annually, every year. Lastly, 940 million people live without electricity, which our product is going to directly impact each of these things. I'm going to pass it to Mr. Busby, and he's going to share with you all our serviceable market.
Yeah, to go a little bit deeper into our target market regarding what Britney was saying, 3,202 million tons of greenhouse gases were emitted within India in the year 2014. 190.7 people within India are currently malnourished. Over $7 billion worth of food is wasted in India every year, and 239 million people within India currently are without electricity. According to Bloomberg.com, this accounts for roughly 25% or 1/4 of the total amount of electricity, people without electricity in the entire world. No electricity means no refrigeration. No refrigeration means no way to preserve foods, fruits, or vegetables. And that's what our product is looking to take care of.
Okay, now how do we kind of summarize the issues that we're trying to deal with within our target market? One of those is there is a global food waste dilemma. In a world where we're wasting that much amount of food produce, we have to find a more efficient way to reduce that number. There's also a problem, there's a lack of electricity in developing countries. Like my colleague, Mr. Busby, said a little earlier, this is a situation where there's not traditional modern technologies that we use in developed countries to preserve food just isn't cutting it around the world. And finally, this is an international hunger crisis. In a world that produces enough food to feed over 10 billion people, why are we not reaching a large proportion of the global population that is starving annually? Now, what's that solution? We here at this company would like to provide minimalistic, nitrogen-enriched environments that can fit comfortably in everyday Indian households and reduce the deterioration of produce over time. And I'm now going to pass it on in regards to what are some key activities we'll deal with.
Okay, so our key activities introduce the logistics of the product, manufacturing, building long-term relationships through our representatives, institutional partners, and create sustainable economies around our product. Now we're going to go into our product. So, who are our key partners? Our key partners are grocery stores and flea markets, and our 3 distribution outlets, which will be the UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, and the Indian government, and lastly, our private sector, Dow Chemical Company. Now we're going to go into our key resources.
So at a basic level, our key resources to put our product together is a plastic bag, bellow pump, plastic tubing, hollow fiber membranes to make up our filter, epoxy, which is glue, end caps, and a bowl. Now we're going to go into a little bit of a demonstration to show you how our product works and what exactly it does. So the key implement of our product is to create a nitrogen-enriched environment. Nitrogen, this should decrease the amount of oxygen, ethylene, which produces over-ripening, as well as the moisture of a product, 3 pieces that cause fruit deterioration. So as I pump this air into the bag, air is made up of 78% nitrogen. So as I pass regular air into this pump and into this tubing, it goes into the bag.
And so as the air goes through the tubing, it meets the end cap. The rubber bands right here represent the end cap, and it connects the tubing to the hollow fiber membrane. As you can see, the hollow fiber membrane, this is a larger image of the membrane. There are holes inside that membrane. So these holes allow these small nitrogen molecules to escape out of the membrane and into our controlled environment. The oxygen molecules, which are a bit larger than nitrogen, can't make it through the holes, so they continue through the tubing all the way out, so the oxygen escapes and the nitrogen is then left inside our membrane, and the paper just represents the fruit or the produce within our bag.
So with that being said, just imagine you have a straw and a drink. So you place a straw inside your drink. Some of the liquid will make it through the straw to your mouth, which represents oxygen, and some of the liquid will go outside the ends of the straws, which represents nitrogen.
And now we're going to go into our business model and what the numbers look like. So, what is it going to take for our product to get into the market? What is it going to cost us as entrepreneurs? That's a great question. So one product costs about $56. So $50 of this cost is from our materials alone. We're going to partner with private sectors like Dow Chemical, a company that produces plastic products. Sorry about that. And the other $6 comes from packaging costs. Next, we go into our rent and our utilities. So we are going to have a brick and mortar facility in India, and that's going to cost about $500 a month. We're going to have our assembly line within that facility, where we're going to employ about 26 employees a shift, 8-hour shifts, $3 an hour, and that comes out to about $156,000 a month. And we're looking to hedge some of this cost with our partners that my counterpart mentioned, organizations and Indian governments that are going to provide us subsidies. And now we're going to go into our revenue stream.
Okay, let's start talking about some things that are a little bit on the funner side. How do we make money? Now, we've projected and made the assumption that it may take a few years to properly explain and communicate our value proposition to the private Indian citizen. So we project that about 35% of our sales will be to private citizens and households within the first few years, but the bulk of it will be sales to institutions and organizations through bulk inventory purchases. Now I'm going to talk about kind of how we've modeled our company to accommodate the different customers that we will be selling to. In regards to our distribution channels, we have created first a multi-level marketing model for our sale to private citizens and households, similar to what you would see at a Mary Kay Cosmetics. This will allow for local representatives to go back to their communities and be able to directly communicate our value proposition to private consumers. We believe this not only will be an efficient way to communicate our value proposition, but it also empowers local communities through economic stimulation via our product. These representatives will first pay an upfront inventory purchase fee and then pay an additional percentage in regards to all net sales after that. So we will also be creating revenue through that way. Secondly, we will be selling as well in bulk inventory purchases to NGOs. We believe that we'll be able to communicate the necessity of a product such as ours in the communities that these NGOs serve, and they will buy bulk inventory in order to either sell at a lower price to the average citizen or to give for free. We also believe that these government agencies will find that what we do is essential to their to reducing the expenses they pay in food waste every year. They will also be a contributor to our bulk inventory purchases, but they'll also provide subsidies to make sure that our product is affordable to the average household in India.
And now we're going to talk about the competitors of ProPreserve AD.
So two of our main competitors would be the ECON fruit and vegetable wash, which you spray this wash over your fruits and vegetables, and it kind of slows down the fermentation process of deterioration of fruit. Usually you would see fuzz on your strawberries if you put it in a heat-controlled environment. With this, I did an experiment over it, and it kept the fruits and vegetables pretty nice and bright. With the Zatria multifloral essential oil, this is an oil that is produced in Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan, which is a coating of enhanced antifungal activity for controlling Britny centria, which could be a potential threat, but also an opportunity for us because it can cause harm if they add extra chemicals to the product.
And while we've identified these companies and products as potential threats, we believe that our value proposition far exceeds those that they are currently selling, just through the way that we are minimalistic as well as easier and more accessible to the average citizen that we are targeting. Now to the conclusion with Ms. Britney.
And to conclude, why should you invest? Why should you provide us subsidies? Why should you partner with us? Great question. Again, we are looking to get an entrance on the $750 billion expense of the global market expense. Also, the societal impact that we're going to have. Not only are we decreasing the greenhouse emissions that are in the atmosphere, but also we are providing an opportunity for malnourished people to eat and for mortality to decrease for those who die of starvation. And then lastly, the potential in ProPreserve. Our future seeks to invest in different technologies that are going to provide different deterioration methods for transportation of produce and actual harvesting for farmers of produce. And as well as we're going to continue to make individual consumption technologies to help our produce in our homes slow down. So that's why you should invest in us.
And lastly, I just want to leave you with the fact that, like it's been mentioned earlier in this presentation, this is a $750 billion problem around the world. If we were able to penetrate even 1% of that, that's $7.5 billion of return on investment. So that's why we're telling you this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to invest in our product and make a change not only in your communities, but also in your wallets.
Why
Why not?